The Monday, October 24th, 2022 regular meeting of the Paris City Council is hereby called to order at 5:30 p.m. For the purpose of this meeting, there is a quorum of the council present. Item number 2 and 3, Mr. Gene Anderson will deliver the invocation, and the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Hughes. Please rise.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, as always, we're thankful for all that you do for us, for your watch care, for your provision, Father, for your deliverance out of trouble. We pray for our council tonight as they conduct the city business, that you would guide and direct them in all things. We pray for our city, for our state, for our nation, Father, that we would be pleasing in your sight. For we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4A. It's an honor to pay tribute to the dedicated veterans who have served this great nation with such distinction, both in peacetime and in war. On behalf of the Paris City Council, I would like to extend an invitation to the Veterans Day Remembrance Memorial, which is to be held on Sunday, November 6th at 2 p.m. at the Love Civic Center. If we have any veterans on the council or the audience, would you please stand? Let's give them a clap, please. Thank each of you. Item 4B is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. If necessary, the City Council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding any item on this agenda. The public forum is now open. If there is anyone who wishes to address the council, please come forward at this time and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, the citizen... Oh, okay, thank you. Sorry. Got to move fast.
Sure. How's it going? So I just wanted to take my 2 minutes to talk about what we can do for the community in regards to real estate development. I just got done with a meeting over there with zoning and development, and I really got to say that Paris has a lot of potential. I'm from New York State, okay? I didn't think I'd find myself in this town, and I got to say that I felt the story of what this town is. You really get to have a feeling once you come in here, and there are a lot of pieces of land that are non-performing right now. They're not on the tax roll, and I, with my group and our fund, would like to invest in this community. We want to do something with at least 200 to 300 properties, hoping to hit the $100 million mark and package it all together and figure out from you guys and everybody in the community what we can do to have this be as efficient as possible, as low cost for you guys as possible, to have still the best developers doing this and have these be successful projects. And I can put together all that. I have the team. I work with a great construction management team that does this nationwide, okay? We can put together budgets and proposals for all these. Now, it gets really tricky when you talk about the different areas that need it first. There's a lot of single-family development as well, that can go into this. But I would like to, and I am going to be submitting a bid within the next few days for the amount and for these different areas. And if you guys have any, opinion as to what you think, we could all kind of meet together and make this successful. I want to invest in this community heavily and in the state in general. And when there's a point, we could have a special caucus about it, of course, and talk. But I'm going to be submitting a bid and wanted to just bring that to the public's attention and you guys and work together.
Well, we appreciate you coming forward. What was your name and address, please?
Yeah, Gregory Purdy. Our company's Birchwood Management Group. Our corporate address is 259 Hortontown Road, HORTONTOWN Road, Hopewell Junction, New York, 12533. And we just bought the building over on 625 Bonham Street, 16-unit multifamily across from the Piggly Wiggly.
Great, thank you. And if you want to talk to staff, Mr. Mack, you want to raise your hand so he'll put a face with you. Thank
Yeah.
you for coming forward.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. Looking forward to working with y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing none, the citizens' forum is now closed. The consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are approved by a single action of the council, with such approval applicable to all items appearing on the consent agenda. A council member may request any item to be removed from the consent agenda and considered as a separate item. Does any member wish to remove an item for discussion? Seeing none, I'll hear a motion to approve all items.
So moved.
A motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 11 on the regular agenda, discuss, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance considering the petition of Ryan Whitaker for a minor master thoroughfare plan amendment altering part of the proposed minor arterial roadway, Section A-3 on LCAD parcel 50201 in the city of Paris, Block 317, Lot PT 10, A7 Askins Survey, located in the 2300 block of Northeast 36th Street. Mr. Mack, you have a presentation, please.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of City Council. I want to indicate that this item was conducted as a public hearing before the Planning and Zoning Commission at their last meeting. They have sent forward a recommendation to City Council, as well as took their own action to table this item pending further review. And so the motion before you is simply for a continuance of the hearing to your December meeting, at which time we anticipate bringing forward a third additional item related to this particular subject.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. Is there any discussion before we table this item?
Just one quick
Okay.
item. I know we've had many discussions on this topic, but I just want to make sure, because I've had a lot of citizens come to me asking me about this, but I just want to make sure that the floodways, any sort of flooding, any sort of watershed, that we take care of that and we look at that with a fine-tooth comb just to make sure that we're good on things. And I know you and your team do a great job, but I just want to make sure that we look at that. And I don't mind sitting down again right before we have, any final say-so going to P&Z, but I just want to make sure that we're good on that.
Thank you, Councilmember Pankage. No, we've advertised it for a new, no, they do need to open and continue. Okay.
Okay.
So again, the recommendation is to continue the public hearing to your December, I believe is 12th, open and continue.
Okay, will do. All right, I'll hear a motion. I'll open the public hearing and hear a motion to continue.
So moved.
And a second, please. A motion and a second to continue the public hearing to November
I believe it's
14th. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0.
Pardon me for interrupting. Did you say December meeting or November meeting?
no, I'm sorry, I'm
Oh,
mistaken.
that's okay.
It's,
I just was-
it's the November
Okay.
14th.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 12, discuss, conduct a public hearing and act on an ordinance considering the petition of the City of Paris for a minor master thoroughfare plan amendment altering part of the proposed minor arterial roadway, Section A3 on LCAD parcel 50218, A7 Askins Survey, Track 8, located at 2330 Northeast 36th Street. Mr. Mack?
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council. I'm sorry for my confusion. We don't normally bring the planning items from one week to the next from the P&Z, but because we are not scheduling your second meeting in November, we talked about December, but I think ended up just pushing it to the next week, so we're not delaying. So on this same request, it's the same topic, it's the same recommendation to continue the public hearing to the November 14th meeting. And I want to make one additional point. We have also scheduled for the P&Z November meeting, which will also come to your November 14th meeting, a third alternative for this revision to the master thoroughfare plan. It would include a delete all option of the current plan running from FM 195 to number 82, County Lamar Avenue, Trunk Highway 82. So that will be the actual recommendation that will be coming forward from the P&Z. The reason we've done it this way, it was developer initiated, and the closer that staff studied this, the more appropriate we felt this needed more time for a much deeper dive. It's been a project that has been on the boards for the city of a number of years. Development has occurred through and around where the line is supposed to go, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's why we've got 3 actual items that we're dealing with here for the agenda.
Thank you. Any discussion about that? I'll hear a motion to, I'll open the public hearing and hear a motion to continue till November 14th.
I'll make the motion to.
Thank you, Ms. Knox.
Second.
Second. Thank you, Mr. Savage. A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 14, receive presentation, discuss, and act on a replacement of an antiquated telephone system and network system for the city of Paris.
Skip 13.
Madam Mayor, we skipped 13.
Oh, I'm sorry. Item number 13, discuss and possibly act on the refinement of the City of Paris's policy on the demolition of homes as related to the 5 in 5 Neighborhood Revitalization Program. Mr. Mack.
I'm going to defer to Councilmember Knox.
Thank
All
you.
This
right,
item?
Ms. Knox.
Members, I had an instance to meet with a developer in my district and who's planning to participate in the 5 in 5 program, but there's some burned out houses that are adjacent to the property. And I thought it might be interesting for us to discuss the possibility of moving some of these structures up the list for demolition. As you know, we have a lot of homes on the list. As you know, the list is, it costs a lot it's a budgeting issue, but I think that if we have somebody willing to revitalize a city block, that it makes sense to me to see if we couldn't get some of these structures moved up the list so that the developer is getting the more bang for the buck, and so are we. So I don't know if you have any other questions about this. I am super excited that the staff is supporting this, as indicated by the memo that I found. So I'm very grateful for that. So I don't know, do you have any questions that I can answer of you, or how do you feel about this, you guys?
I'm supportive, and this is something that I wouldn't have realized because there's very few vacant spaces in my district, but yours has plenty that need to be developed, and I can see why you would not want to spend that money if there's burned out structures
Right.
or just ones that need to be
Correct me if I'm wrong,
demolished.
Mr. Mack, but that is our process, isn't it, for the burned-down structures to be moved up on the list because of the safety issues?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hughes, mayors, members of council. The current prioritization that we have in our department right now with regard to, it's upwards of 80-some houses that are on the list, and it is a budgetary matter. I do want to say, in defense of that, it's been difficult to get the demolition company to move forward. They've toward the end of the year here, the budgetary season, they have taken a number of homes down. But the exciting commitment is through the CARES Act funding. The city manager has acquired additional equipment for Public Works, and made one of our pieces of equipment available for my code crew to begin doing some of the demolitions in-house. So the good news is we think that we're going to be able to get more done by augmenting what we send out for contract demolition by doing it in-house, and we've added 2 new pieces of equipment this year to assist that crew in the demolition. With regard to the prioritization, we have prioritized at this point for the code supervisor to working with the demolitions that the burned out structures and the units or the houses that are already been condemned and orders are in place by the Building Standards Commission that are along major traveled roadways be given the top priorities. So with this being brought up by Councilmember Knox, staff is totally in support and intends to implement that administrative policy to add this third priority of the areas that are selected for 5 and 5 under contract with approval of the City Council or are on the list pending tax foreclosure at our upcoming sales. So those will be added as a third priority.
Yeah, so it's not just, Councilmember Knox, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's not just burned out structures, it's any dilapidated structure that might make the project look bad.
Well, this was a red tagged.
Yeah.
This particular developer was going to build 3 structures, and right across the street are 2 structures that are burned down and red tagged and have been red tagged for over a year.
Yeah, but I mean, not just this developer, because when if it
Correct.
changes, it's for anybody.
Correct,
So,
yes, sir.
yeah, so we're just talking about
Absolutely.
potential builders
Mm-hmm.
and projects, houses that's next to them that might look bad, right?
Correct.
So, yeah, so we're talking about moving them up, but when we move somebody up, then you leapfrog somebody. Somebody gets pushed back. So I'm talking about existing properties. So, just say, for instance, if I already had a house and there's a structure in front of it or across from it that was messed up, I wouldn't feel good about the city changing the priority to leapfrog that house that, that was set up to be demolished in maybe a couple of months, but then I get leapfrogged. So, I'm just thinking about the people that are existing homeowners or existing landowners that are not in the 5 and 5 that already has met with the city about getting the properties demoed next to them. So we have to consider them as well on that issue.
I understand, but in this particular block that I'm talking about, there is one house that is not, it's not inhabited, and every other house on this particular block is burned out or falling down.
Yeah, and
And this is a perfect instance. Now, I understand what you're saying about leapfrogging.
right, but I agree with what you're saying, but this policy is not, if we change it, it's not for this one individual that you're
No,
talking
no,
about.
it's
So
for-
it's going to affect the city as a whole. So we have to think not just for this project, but for the city as a whole. So, for the city as a whole, I don't know, I'm not saying I disagree, I'd love to see this happen, but I don't want to see anyone else push back, because when we put someone else in line, we're pushing somebody else back a little bit. So, I don't know how the city, builders as a whole, or people that already own property, or just citizens that has existing structures next to their homes. I'm sure the city gets calls all the time. I call because there's one in front of my church, and I'm thinking, okay, you're going to prioritize somebody else that don't even own the property yet, that's thinking about buying it, so I'll buy it if you tear these houses down, when this structure's been in front of my church for years and it hasn't been torn down. I would feel pretty bad about being leapfrogged.
I understand.
Oh, and I do too, but I think part of the problem is this council has made it a priority for code enforcement to go in there, let's clean up our neighborhoods, all of them, and it shouldn't still be a budgetary issue. We've asked for more budget for that, and if the company that's supposed to be doing that's giving us a problem, can we change companies? Can we do some of them ourselves with our equipment?
And the answer is yes, that is exactly what we're doing. We are hoping that we can get to the ones that have been standing for years. We're not saying we're leapfrogging, we're just saying, for example, with a burned out structure, they're dangerous. They're more of an attractive nuisance. They're difficult to board up because big sections of the structure are missing, and it seems inappropriate use of public funds to go spend money boarding up, waiting for the demolition orders. That's where we felt prioritizing the burnt structures was important.
Yeah, I thought the burned out structures were already a priority.
They definitely are.
Yeah, so we're not necessarily just prioritizing burned out structures. We're talking about structures in general that need to be demoed. So I get what you're saying about the burned out structures, but my point is the normal nuisance structures. That's the issue. So we would set a policy to prioritize structures that need to be demoed next to a property that someone might buy and build new homes. But what does that say for the citizens that already have homes there? We owe them as well.
And that's where we're taking on some of this work in-house, allowing us to get to more faster.
Yeah, and so what you're saying, it sounds to me like what you're saying is there's no need for this policy because you're already trying to do that.
I got a quick question. Annually, and I know I've asked this before, and I'm forgetting the exact answer on this, but how many houses do we demo in a year, approximately?
The budget is approximately $100,000. We had additional funding that was allocated, some of which is being used, some of which was allocated to acquire additional equipment to do the work in-house. That would be this year. The same amount is budgeted for next year, and we expect to be able to have the in-house work combined with the contract work to go farther, to more structures per year. I don't have a precise number,
okay.
but it ranges anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 a structure for demolition. So it might be 10, 11, 12 homes we get done a year.
I think the other thing that I think of, with all due fairness with what Councilmember Savage is saying, I think the other thing that I think of is tax dollars right now. We're hurting on that tax front, and we need houses badly. So if we've got developers that are going to come in and steamroll through this, then I understand the incentive on that, but I also don't. I understand what you're saying, and I don't want to see someone get leapfrogged. I had an employee that had a similar situation. She's got a house right next to her that needs to be demoed badly for years, and it's not been done because it's always been moving up the list. So I'm torn, but I can see this situation, and I would go for this just simply because we need houses on the tax roll now.
I really liked what you said. I mean, I know I was a little overzealous when I put in my request that they be demoed immediately, and I rescind that part of my my request. But I really appreciated what you said about if they have the property and have entered into an agreement with the city and the council has approved it, then at that time would be appropriate to maybe adjust their list, their place on the list, I guess.
Certainly, and I want to say that
I mean-
part of the reason that this makes sense to me is the city council as a group has told the staff through your goal-setting session that 5 and 5 is one of your top priorities to continue the success of this program in the community. So we want to certainly respect that.
Yeah, and I think demolition was up there as well. So demolition in general. So that was up there. That was one of the top priorities as well. So, and that goes to complaints from existing citizens, people that already own homes. That didn't come from new people who's trying to build. Those complaints came from citizens who are already owning homes or properties. So they were complaining about the nuisance structures next to them. And another thing, and I know y'all are already working hard to tear these houses down. So is safety a priority? You know, houses where we know we have people that go in and stay in these abandoned houses. So is safety a priority? Should be number one almost. Is that what y'all are looking at as well?
Well, the priority there is we get the squatters out of there right away.
Well, yeah,
And make sure they are secured so that that doesn't happen.
yeah. But you can't be everywhere, just like we can't tear every house
We
down.
certainly try.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you're trying, safety is a priority then, and you're
Absolutely.
trying.
Absolutely.
So, I love what Linda's talking about. I love trying to incentivize projects.
I know,
That's
you've
another-
always been very supportive of the 5 and 5.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
certainly appreciate
absolutely,
that,
because
'cause it-
that's another, that's
Yeah.
another incentive.
Yeah.
I just don't want to alienate citizens that already are complaining about these structures and make it look like they're being pushed back because they're not wealthy enough to build 5 and 5 housing, which we call affordable housing, that is not. But anyway.
Well, I think that's an excellent point,
Yeah.
Mr. Savage, and I think it's an excellent intention to do that. We don't have an abundance of 5 and 5 contracts right now, do we? How many do we have pending? Approximately, I know.
2 to 3, just about ready to come forward within the next month or two.
So I think it's not going to be leapfrogging too much, but I also think, especially if you send back money at the end of the budget year that could have been used for demo, we'd like to see that happen more quickly, if that's possible. Is that feasible?
We'll certainly take a close look at it, but it's an absolute priority to get as many off the list as possible every year. And that's tied to the budget. Now, we have in-house labor and support with equipment that's going to, I think, make a big difference in the year ahead. And I'm very excited about that.
Well, it's good that Public Works, is willing to step up and help in that front, and I appreciate that. We need a lot more in-house help, and that's amazing that you have a versatile staff that's willing to be able to take that front. And hopefully we see that list chip away little by little, or more by more.
Yeah. And if we do pass this policy, and which I think is a great, incentive, but if we do, just keep in mind that some citizens want, the other properties tore down as well. We don't want to forget about the people that already have existing properties. And I know you will, but I just wanted to say that.
So, how soon, Linda, was they wanting these properties?
Oh, well, they're in negotiation right now. They've acquired the property. They're just in negotiation with Mr. Mack's staff for the 5 and 5 program. I suggested to them that they look into the 5 and 5 program because they're building houses all over.
And these properties, some were acquired in the last tax sale by paying all the back taxes and liens against the property that she's referring to. And it's definitely an eligible project, and they are ready to move forward.
So are they one of the 2 to 3 you said that was coming
Yes.
up?
Yes.
They're signed on to the 5 and 5 program?
The application's coming in. They'll have control over the property, so it's eligible.
Yeah, so my question is, I guess, to Linda, your thoughts on this, Ms. Knox. We would not prioritize the structures next to the property until they actually are in the 5 and 5 program and moving forward, right?
Correct.
Because they could have us prioritizing the house or something.
Because then we're
Right.
leapfrogging,
Well, I think we still are, but
Well, I know, but not as.
it wouldn't look as bad.
Yeah, as bad.
Well, it's more of an imminent tax roll addition, right? Like for example, if we had an inventory that needed to be demoed and there was no chance of anyone buying it anytime soon, or there's not an interested buyer or a contractual agreement, then at that point, that could take years for someone to come in that's interested. Whereas if someone has I would feel more comfortable, I would feel comfortable giving a yes to this, knowing that there is a contractual agreement in place and that it's taking place, it's happening.
Right.
And that's going to be a quicker process. I still feel bad, but I would rather have that because I know that we're going to have taxes collected on that fairly sooner.
Another one of the issues we've run into is there's another variable, it's a straightforward program, but there's a lot of moving parts. One of them is title insurance. And that can take up to 2 years from the tax sale before they can even begin thinking about construction. So that plays into when they decide to enter into an agreement as well. Most of the time, they're gung-ho, they want to get started building right away, and we do everything we can to help support moving that forward.
Yeah, but the people that buy those properties that take 2 years, they already know that from the beginning, so they're not gonna start building immediately anyway. So you're talking about people that's ready to start doing something immediately, right? Is that the,
Anybody that's going to enter into this agreement, to me, it would make a developer more interested in some of our neighborhoods if they knew that there was going to be some attention given to the structures that need to come down that are burned out around them. I mean, that's where these I don't know, maybe I'm misspeaking, but I think a lot of these infill houses are in neighborhoods like that, where the structures are burned out or they're falling down and they're on the list. They're on the list and have been on the list for so long, pardon me. The deterioration of the home, because if they're not lived in, is that much greater and that much faster. You've got all kinds of animals and humans going in and out that also add to the deterioration even quicker, and the danger that entails from that. It's getting to be winter time. The people are going to start coming into these structures, and they're going to look for warmth, and they're going to set a fire to keep warm, and then there goes the house. This happens all over town. And I think that if we could, I don't know, I'm just thinking of some way to encourage development and revitalization of our neighborhoods, and I'm trying to think of ways to keep folks from, going into these homes and setting fires. There's a lot of that going on.
absolutely, but it's not.
Closer and closer.
Right, but it's not just in the places that's eligible for 5 and 5 or where somebody's fixing to build. It's all over,
It is.
to your point. So, but I'll support
But
it.
the majority of them, is in our 5 and 5 area.
Well, when I said that, I meant it's not in the areas that people are looking to build a duplex or a house or an apartment. It's all over.
Yes, sir,
So,
you're right.
that's what I'm saying. We can't forget about that.
Well,
while we're
I
thinking
wouldn't
about it.
be, yeah.
But I agree, it's a good tool for probably Mr. Mack to use to help support the 5 and 5 program. So I'll support it.
Well, I thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Would it help the council to get an idea of the severity of the situation if we were provided a list of all the homes that have been put on the demo list, and for what reason
And
they're
how
burned
long-
out or they're
how long-
dilapidated? Would that help?
How long they've been on the list?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Could we
We
get,
have to believe we've developed a map showing where these are around town. We already have the list
Yep.
existing. If council would like, we could put it on a future agenda for presentation.
or just provide it to us
Just
if,
provide the sure.
it would not necessarily have to be on the agenda, but I work better from a list than I do from a map.
Me too.
So, but, okay. If there's no other discussion, I'll hear a motion on agenda item 13.
I'll make a motion
Thank
to, gosh,
Refine the policy.
refine our policy, yes, to
Okay.
include.
A second?
I'll second.
All right. A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. All right. Thank you. It passes 6-0. Item number 14, receive presentation, discuss, and act on replacement of an antiquated telephone system and network system for the city of Paris. Good evening.
Mayor President, members of the council. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Celso Arreta, and I bet you meet Marco, no?
Thank you.
And
Welcome.
well, I guess you already read the memo, and I want to try to explain a little bit more to be more clear about our couple of two solutions. And these slides, it's our current infrastructure, no? And for example, I want to try to explain, for example, the clouds means internet connection for buildings. For example, in this case, we have only one internet connection for annex and another internet connection for police department, and 2 internet connection just for 4G as a backup. The green lines means fiber optic belongs to the city. We don't pay rent for that. The black lines, it's fiber optic. We rent this fiber optic to Southlink. And the red lines, it's microwave, point to point. And this technology, it's off, and we don't have any support about this. If we have some failure, we spend around 3 weeks to fix some problems and expend a lot of money, no? And this is our current solution. I don't know, Michael, if you have questions with this?
Well, it certainly makes you aware of your graphics of how spread out we are in the city, and we need to be in touch with one another.
Yeah, exactly. No, we needed the network communication to each building.
I believe, Celso, that you previously described our system as a bowl of spaghetti.
A little bit. Right now, yes. No? Yeah, because also, for example, with this with this network, we don't have a segment, and there's a lot of noises for each building. No, it's a little miss, but we're trying to fix this.
And the replacement of the phone system and the network would be by this one company?
Yes, exactly. This is our proposal for SD-WAN. SD-WAN means software-defined wide area network. And with these solutions, we're going to get one internet connection for each area. For example, in the first area, for example, for fire station, we're going to provide internet connection also into the network, the city network, the public works, animal shelter, warehouse, and all the offices we have in public works. Another internet connection for water treatment plant and wastewater. And why these 2 buildings? Because it's really critical, the water system for the city, also for the citizens. No, it's really important. Oops, sorry. This communication with these buildings. No, and for example, for annex, we're going to provide City Hall, water building, and library, and wastewater tower. In police department, we're going to continue with the same internet connection because it don't make sense to spend money. We're going to keep that one. And with these solutions, we're going to integrate and have more availability and continue for the business of the operations. This is about the network connection. Michael, do you want to add something?
With this, no,
Yeah, use the mic, please.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, with this new solution, it will give us more flexibility for making a more efficient network. The network that we currently have has grown over the years and is not very efficient, and is also using the point-to-point microwave links, which once they go down, that is something that we as the IT department own specifically. So we have to basically pay for someone to go up the tower, whether it's the water tower or an existing structure, replace those links, and that can take a considerable amount of time, several weeks in the case of back during the summer. With this new system, it is managed through the cloud, and we are no longer going to be reliant on the IT department to go change something if it goes down. It would be managed by another company.
Does this offer the city more cybersecurity?
Yes, also. Yeah, with this solution, we're going to get firewalls for each building. And also with this, we're going to get anti-spam firewalls, antivirus, and all kind of security, cybersecurity, I should say.
Do you,
Any questions?
do you have, in terms of your managed provider, do you feel fairly comfortable with them? Because I know a lot of times if there's a down, wire, there's something out there, you need help, you call them and it's hard to get a hold of folks. But
Yeah.
I asked this because we're going through a similar thing with our company too, that we're having to replace a lot of IT equipment and make it more efficient. And we're doing almost exactly similar to what you're looking at right now. So
Okay.
I just asked just simply for that sake.
About the provider?
Do you feel like you have a good relationship with them?
Yes. Well, we asked for a proposal for 2 companies. One was TFA Connect and another AT&T. Now, in Claro, they bring the solution with all the requirements we made and also up. No, they bring, for example, the managed solutions, network operation center, security, and a bunch of more solutions together. Yeah, and a really nice price also.
Any other questions?
How old is the system that we're using now? Hey, man, I'm just wondering.
I can directly answer that. I've been here since 2003, and this has basically been just an upgrade of the system that we had at that time. So over 19 years, this has just been steadily growing, and it's not been a complete overhaul. It's just been, we have what we have this year, let's add this functionality to it. So it's been more of, we haven't really looked at it from the big picture and said, we need to change the way we are doing everything. And with this SD-WAN, that gives us that flexibility.
And also with these solutions, we have the availability for change all the equipment every 3 years. Now, every 2 years, we're going to renew for new equipment. No?
Great. That sounds great, because that field changes so
Yes, yeah,
quickly.
yeah. And we're responding to your question. Maybe I exaggerate with this image, no, but our solution for the telephone system, it's around 10 years old, maybe, no, around 10 years old. And these solutions compose for 2 servers, the primary and the backup. And these servers provide voice over IP to this square on the middle, no, the city annex, all the offices for the city. And also we have another solution for the library with no integration, also, for example, for water treatment and wastewater. And this 4 solution is not integrated right now. It's separate solutions. And we spend money for each one. And we have to ask for support for each one, no? And also, the backup server, it's already dead. If the primary server die, you're going to get troubles. That's why my concern about this solution.
Yeah, well, our technology infrastructure is a priority to me. I mean, I don't know a lot about it, don't know very much about it at all, but it's important. I know enough to know that fact.
Yes, exactly.
How quick is Claro going to execute on this if we pass this today?
Around 90 days.
Okay.
Yeah, because we
That's
have
still pretty quick.
Yeah, well, I want to try to be less, no?
Yeah.
But maybe 90 days.
Okay.
Yeah. And well, with Unified Communication as a service, we can integrate all the buildings in one solutions. Also, with this solution, we can renew all the telephone Cisco we already have for new ones. Now, also, for example, we can integrate the police department with these solutions and get better solution for internal customers and the citizens. And the staff recommendation is get these 3 solutions to get a better basement for the beginning, for the renewal, all the technology for the city. And with this solution is the basement to be better. And
Great.
thank you. I don't know if you have questions with this.
Well, if there are no other questions of our IT department, we appreciate
Thank you.
what you do all the time.
Yeah.
And especially upgrading this infrastructure.
I'm really excited with this because we need this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. I think it is antiquated.
A little
I
bit,
don't know
yeah.
about you, Mayor, but have you seen all the change? I mean, you've noticed since we've started
Yes.
that all the technology that they're using at City Hall and in presentations and everything. So this could only benefit that and help it
And I
work
forget that
smoother.
another feature with the unified communication, for example, I saw you with iPad, no? I don't know if you have extension for the city. With this solution, we can bring your extension to your iPad, and you can make phone calls or receive phone calls to your extension. That's pretty handy for the people, no?
Very nice.
My iPad has operator trouble, but
Yeah, mine does
Well, we
too,
can
but
fix it.
I'll be willing to learn.
Yeah.
The last 6 months I have.
all right.
Well, thank you very much for your time, and
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Is there any more discussion? I'll hear a motion to receive an act on the replacement of this telephone system and the network system.
I move that we acquire new services of Unified Communication as a Service and SD-WAN and implement these solutions to ensure continuity of the services to our employees and our citizens.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, ma'am. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. No? Okay. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 15, discuss and act on awarding a bid to Pridemore Construction in the amount of $88,490.
What?
No, $88,490 for the southern boat ramp. This is going to be big enough for a ship. For the southern boat ramp construction project at Lake Crook, and I have seen the dam that our Public Works Department put in, and it's wonderful.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of council, I'm not asking for 88 million this evening. In March, staff responded to Lake Crook, the southern boat ramp, after we had some complaints come in about the structure itself, the integrity of the structure, and we were able to look at it and did recognize that it is breaking apart and making it unsafe for boaters and fishermen. So we were able to work together with the Lamar County Chamber of Commerce, and Mr. Allen is here this evening, and we developed a plan, and the city is proposing to pay 80% of this plan, or this ramp, and the Lamar County Chamber of Commerce would pay 20%. We did go out for bid. We received one bid that came in. It's from Pridemore Construction for $88,490, and that includes the tear out, the replacement, not just of the the ramp, but also the approach area and the parking lot. So that entire area will look much different than it has in years past. While the dam is there that Public Works that you mentioned has built, staff is going in and developing and deepening and cleaning that whole lot. So again, part of the improvement to the whole area. The bid that's come in, again, it's be 80-20 split. This is an eligible project for funding by the hotel occupancy tax, so this would not come out of the general fund. And staff is recommending that we award this bid to Pridemore Construction for $88,490 for the southern boat ramp construction at Lake Crook.
Thank you. Any questions? Lake Crook looks wonderful, and this is really only going to improve it. And
It's the very beginning, yes, ma'am.
yes, yes, great for the boat races. All right, I'll hear a motion.
I'll make a motion to award the bid to Pridemore Construction for $88,490 for the southern boat ramp construction project at Lake Crook.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Vine. Item number 16, discuss and act on awarding a bid for Phase 1 of the wastewater treatment plant to Thale Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $65,118,000, $118,950. Mr. Path.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of City Council, this is the beginning of a 4-agenda item. 16, 17, 18, 19 are all related. I'm going to cover all 4 briefly up front. We have some guests with us today who will be speaking to you about different items here, and then we'll be acting on them individually. So looking at item 16 here, as we discussed at the last City Council meeting, we did receive bids for the wastewater treatment plant project. Lowest bid was from Thale Construction Company, Incorporated, at $65,118,950. Working with Garver Engineering, we have vetted that item thoroughly. You have the next agenda item here, a change order. This obviously did come in much higher than we expected, and so staff and Garver did work to try to bring that number down as best as we can. We already have a very lean design as it is, and this is a critical project, and so there is very little that we could pick off in order to bring the price down. But working between the contractor and our engineering firm and staff, they were able to pull out about $2.2 million. And so we have that. I'm going to turn over shortly here to Garver and as well as Doug Harris, Utility Director. But before I do that, I'll just address the next 2 items after this real quick. Item 18 you'll see there is to adjust our utility rates. Obviously, since this project came in over budget, we do have to raise our utility rates in order to finance this. And then item 19 you'll see here, and we'll discuss it more when we get to that point here, is the additional bond to subsidize the excess cost above estimate there. So with this, I'm now going to turn over to Lance Clement and Doug Harris for items 16 and 17. Then we'll vote on 16, and then we'll discuss 17 and vote on 17. So.
Thank you all for having us here tonight. I know this has been a long work in progress, working over the last several months since we did open bids. I want to commend your staff for the efforts that we took to make sure that we were making smart decisions for the value engineering items to still keep the functionality of the plant in place. And so these were joint considerations between the contractor, our recommendations, and the city staff. And we feel that all these put together make for a very good, solid change order that will not take away from the quality of the construction. And so the first item that you have before you is to approve the contract, and then the second item would be to approve the change order, which would then go into effect to reduce the overall amount. Doug, anything to add?
Would Mayor Pro Tem, Council, would you have any questions either about the awarding of the bid itself or the change order? Any specifics with that? If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer those.
I don't have any.
Seeing none. No questions? Any discussion? All right, I will hear a motion.
I move that we award the bid to Thale Construction, approve change order number 1, approve an ordinance to...
No, not yet.
Am I on the different one?
16.
We'll do 16
What's
first
16?
and then
I'm sorry.
17.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
16.
Yeah. We'll award the bid first, and then
Award
17
the
we'll discuss the change order.
We'll award, I move that we award the bid to Thale Construction.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. We're going to get a new wastewater treatment plant. Item number 17, discuss and act on change order number 1 for the bid with Thale Construction Company, Inc. for the wastewater treatment plant project Phase 1, decreasing the amount by $2,266,308 from $65,188,950. All right, I will hear a motion.
I got a quick question.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Do we have a cap on that in terms of any other change orders or anything of that nature?
Can you speak to that real quick?
Sorry, just a random question that came.
Yeah, it's come up several times if we've gone through the coordination on that. It's a plus or minus 25% of the bid amount. So we're still well within that negative 25%,
Okay.
and then still don't anticipate getting to the plus 25%. We do have a small amount of contingency built within the contract to account for minor changes to cost. But again, we feel like working with the contractor, we've put together a very solid plan moving forward and don't expect to hit that limit.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure before
You're constructing something.
before I get some sleep tonight.
And the unfortunate thing is, obviously, you can never foresee 100% everything. So we will never say this will come with no change orders. That's our goal. But until you start getting into the ground, doing the work, you never know.
You don't know, yeah.
Yeah, but we feel good about this.
Thank you. Any more discussion? I'll hear a motion.
A motion that we pass item 17.
A second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 18, discuss and act on an ordinance amending Appendix A, Section A 10.004, sewer rates for customers using city water of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paris, Texas, to reflect changes recommended by the city's rate consultant, providing a repealer clause, a severability clause, a savings clause, a penalty clause, and providing an effective date. You have a presentation, please?
Yes. I'll turn over to Gene Anderson shortly here, but obviously, since the project did come in over budget, we are having to increase our utility rates to finance the next item, which is the supplemental bond that we'll be issuing here. But I'm going to turn over to Finance Director Gene Anderson to discuss this a little more.
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, you have in your packet the new rate schedule. And just to kind of give you an idea how it's changing, you adopted last April of 2021 a multi-year rate increase schedule to pay for the costs as we knew it at that point. This new rate schedule adjusts for the increased cost that we've been discussing just here recently. If you look at your rate schedule in your packet, we're having a rate increase effective January 1st, 2023 that was not originally scheduled under the current rates, and that's necessary because we're fixing to issue this debt, and we have to get the cash flow started on that as quickly as we can. That rate increase is going to be 10.5% over the current rate. After that, we go back to our previously scheduled April and October rate increases. The April 2023 rate increase is 10.5%. It was already scheduled to be 3.75% under the old rate. In October 2023, it'll go up 7%. Originally was scheduled to go up 3.75%. April 2024, it will go up 7.5%. compared to the 3.75% in the original rate ordinance. And then we have some good news. In October of 2024, there will not be a change. In the old schedule called for a 4.25% increase, but we think that the cash flow by that time will have generated enough money that we can kind of take a break in our rate increases and not have one in October of 2024 or April of 2025. And then we go back to, in October of 2025, a 6.5% increase compared to the 4.25 we originally had scheduled. And likewise, in April of 2026, 6.5% increase compared to the 4.25% increase in the original rate schedule. If you have any questions about the rate schedule, I'll be glad to try to answer those.
Questions, council? Or discussion? We do know that this is an unfortunate increase, and it has to be done. So the can got kicked down the road for a lot of years, and we've just made the choice, this council, to do what we have to do, and we've got to pay for what needed to be done a decade ago or more. So I don't have any questions. Any other discussion?
I will add that staff and I have been working, or will be working more with Mark McCloney of Samco, as well as our rate consultant, Chris Eckert. We have some strategies that we're going to be looking at looking at financial options, refinancing of existing debt, and so forth over the next year. Some of these things we cannot take effect till the next budget cycle, but we're going to be working on some strategies to help maybe soften this in the future. So, but I can't promise anything, but we're going to be working hard to see if we can't find some other alternative ways to address our cash flow needs.
Well, and we do appreciate staff very much. You've done a lot of work on this. Nobody likes to have to borrow money, but that's what we have to do. I'll hear a motion.
I make the motion that we pass item 18.
All right, a motion and a second, please.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item 19, discuss and consider all matters incident and related to the issuance and sale of City of Paris, Texas, Waterworks and Sewer System Revenue Bonds, Series 2022, including the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of such bonds and approving all other matters incident thereto. Mr. Path?
The final item for tonight in regards to the wastewater treatment plant is to issue our long-term debt in order to fund the project here. We have Mark McCliney with Samco here tonight. I will turn it over to him to discuss our bond.
Thank you all. My name is Mark McCliney. I'm with Samco Capital Markets.
Welcome.
You've done all the hard stuff up to this point. We went out for bid for the project, of course. You had the amendments. Those were approved. You put the rates in place just now, so those are approved. Those rates are in place to cover the debt service for the bonds. We went out to market today. It was a long day, but it was completed at about 2 o'clock. Bonds were sold out to the market to FHN, which is the underwriter. They in turn then sell them to their customers. The first 3 years, we match up exactly with the pro forma that Chris Eckert, the rate consultant, did. Came up with year 4 and out, we're a little bit higher. There's nothing we can do. It's just the function of the market. That's why we're going to get with Grayson and Gene and start working up different strategies. We have a nice bond that's callable next year. And so there's a lot of things that we're going to do also. But for you all tonight, we look for you to authorize the bonds to FHN, and we'll have the money here November 9th.
Okay, well, that was easy.
Well, like you said, the hard part has already been done.
Okay, Mr. McCliney, you have any questions of our consultant? Thank you for being here. This won't affect our bond rating, correct?
Well, no, that's a good question. So this is a utility system supported only, and we went and got a bond rating on that. That's A3. We went and got bond insurance on top of that. Now, your general fund, which is the previous rating, if you remember when we sold the GEO pension bonds, that came in at AA3. So there's AA, which is where we want to be for the general fund. That's anything supported by ad valorem taxes. Because there's so much guarantees when you have ad valorem taxes. You don't have to worry about rain and people not watering. You don't have to worry about the cost of operating a system. You have to worry about operating a city. Ad valorem tax supported bonds normally carry a higher bond rating. So the A3 is where we came in. We're happy with that. We're able to get bond insurance to take the bonds to AA. So now for the first time, the city has a general fund bond rating for general obligation debt and a utility system bond rating. So that's a new rating as of officially this week.
All right. No further questions? I'll hear a motion.
I move that we approve an ordinance to issue the new long-term financing as presented.
And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. A motion and a second has been heard. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and we'll keep working on getting funds here on November 9th.
Thank you very much. Motion carried, 6-0. Item number 20. Discuss and act on ordinance authorizing and directing the Director of Finance to transfer funds from unencumbered appropriation balances to overexpended accounts for fiscal year 2021-2022. Mr. Anderson?
Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council, this is our annual housekeeping amendment to the budget in order to cover expenses that were unanticipated. In the general fund, as I noted in my memo, we did exceed the original budget by about $244,000, but our revenues also exceeded budget by much more than that to cover that without a problem. I also have included in this budget amendment the PEDC loan that we made, even though that was approved by the council. This formally puts that in the budget so that when we have the audit done later, it won't show us that we spent over budget on that particular line item. The airport fund also exceeded its original budget by $327,000 due to cost of fuel, but they also had revenues for fuel sales that exceeded that expense number in terms of $430,000. And then the landfill fund exceeded its operational budget by $78,000, but had its revenues also exceeded budget by $95,000. So basically, in all three of these areas, while we have a goal to stay within the departmental budgets and the budget as a whole, sometimes operationally, in order to keep functioning, we have to spend more money than what we anticipate, and that's what happened in this case. But in all three of these cases, our revenues exceeded budget in an amount that would allow us actually to increase our reserves in all three of those areas. So we would request that you approve these changes. You have a copy of the ordinance that does that. If you have any questions about any particular area, I'll be glad to answer those questions.
Thank you. Questions or discussion? Seeing none, I'll hear a motion.
Make a motion to approve ordinance amending the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget.
And a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 21, convene into executive session pursuant to Section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if deliberation in an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the position of the governmental body in negotiations with a third person. The time is 6:39 p.m., and the City Council will now convene into executive session. Item number 22, reconvene into open session and possibly take action on those matters discussed in executive session. The time is 6:47 p.m. and the City Council's in open session. There is no action to be taken at this time. Item number 23, consider and approve future events for City Council and/or city staff pursuant to Resolution number 2004-081. Does anyone have anything? All right. Item 24, adjournment, a motion and a second.
So
All
moved.
those in favor say aye. Carries 6-0.